We got Kate says, agencies who don't have a VSL for their landing page, just curious, why don't you have one yet? Is it because you lack time to create it, don't know how to do it, other reasons? Charles says, any recommendations for B2B lead list providers? Quality lists, solid filters, vetted, low bounce rates, appreciate help and feedback. I'm interested in non-agency income. What else can I do? What's up, everybody? Back for another round. Love what you guys are putting together. It's a cool time to be alive, I think. Doing this a little late today because I didn't want to compete with anything eclipse related. Seems like the world is all caught up in that, so I just wanted to have a couple extra eyeballs. Just for those of you guys who are interested, by the way, we are making the Wolfpack cooler, and I've engineered something I call my shoe store process. And for those of you guys who've heard me talk about the story, it's the difference between cold messaging 1,000 people. I really found there's three ways, basically, that people want to grow this business and kind of level up the type and quantity of clients. One is you cold DM a bazillion people. I call that digital door knocking. Level 2 is you run some Facebook ads and bring people to you, and then you try and sell them on a call. And then level 3 is what I'm talking about, where you find the influencers in the space that already have audience. You co-create valuable stuff that benefits their audience, and as you co-create that stuff, you're actually simultaneously creating ads and nurture sequences, so you get like a ton of leverage out of it. That's the biggest thing I could describe it as. Like, we have sometimes I send 1 to 5 messages a week, and we get ads out of it. We get besides the clients and the nurture, like digital me is the hardest working person in that scenario. And the other thing is when you connect with other influencers that make podcasts and put on conferences and do video interview series and things like that, the magic is they do all the distribution for you. So if you hate posting to social and you hate chopping up videos and you hate hashtags and thumbnails as I do, or at least having to do that personally, like, let somebody else take care of that. So if you guys are interested in that, I put a link below. It is at beyondagencyprofits.com/Wolfpack. And let's get into the good stuff. I'm feeling a little tired today. We had a long, adventurous Sunday. I had some family from out of town, which has never happened. No family's ever come to visit me in Mexico yet, so this is the first time. Anyways, let's get into the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. Ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum. I don't know if we'll go as long today, by the way, because I don't see a ton of questions from the last week, but I'll try to make it as good as possible for you guys. Scott says, with the latest changes with Google and other email providers, what are the best ways to send individual emails, not to end up in the not bulk to end up in the inbox? I use ActiveCampaign. I know I want to take all those that have not opened an email in the last 3 months and send them individual emails. What ideas do you guys have in mind? So I'm going to suggest a different strategy altogether. Scott, I'm not against any of the things you describe. I'm just going to share my experience. I mentioned for deliverability, I would probably have a conversation with Dave Miz, who knows deliverability inside and out. They send a ton of emails. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the strategy. So I used to use ActiveCampaign, and I used to do a lot of the things, and I created very complex campaigns so that, like, whenever somebody didn't open shit, I would resend it to them and resend it to it. And I figured if I got more people to open, like, I would make more sales and make more cash and those things. And it's not a bad line of thinking. But what I found out is by actually doing it, it takes the focus in the wrong place and takes all the people who are the least engaged, the least interested in your shit, and tries to get them to open it. And I actually think it is more fruitful to do the opposite, is to send more to the people that are opening. And do that more frequently. In fact, one of the reasons I actually moved away from ActiveCampaign, so I started my email journey like 15 years ago, something like that, with Aweber. That was the recommended tool at the time. Aweber's kind of like an old dinosaur. Not many people use it anymore, at least from what I can tell. You know, there's Go High Level, and there's Infusionsoft, and ActiveCampaign, and Entreport, and like all these kind of other tools. And what I found out is I tried sending an email side by side, the same email in Aweber and ActiveCampaign, and I timed myself, and it took me 30 minutes in ActiveCampaign, and it took me 10 minutes, 12 minutes, something like that in Aweber, and I realized I was spending 18 minutes not sending emails, and not only that, I was trying to follow up with all the people who were the least interested. So this is my way of saying I think you'll actually make more money sending more emails to the people who are interested. In fact, this is one of the things one of the mentors of mine does. Charges people a set fee to make sales, and he'll take the people who have clicked on a campaign, actually looked at the sales page, and just email more and do more follow-up to the people who've shown interest. So this is not my way of saying, like, don't follow up with people who aren't interested, but most people look at it backwards and go, how do I get open rates up, and how do I get more people to read the stuff that aren't reading it? And you'll actually make more money doing more follow-up with the people who have, the people who actually clicked on it, the people who actually read it, the people who demonstrated an interest in it. It's a little bit of a different philosophical shift, but I promise you'll make more money and have better overall kind of sales and, you know, cash in bank and those kind of metrics by focusing on that piece. So I just wanted to share that with you because I thought that would be useful. Our man Cole, this is not so much as a question, but I just kind of wanted to comment on his post here. He said, opportunity handled well leads to more opportunity. Stumbled across this quote on a Twitter thread. I still can't for the life of me call it X as I'm exploring this opportunity in the creator economy, watching my car guy YouTube channels, reading the comments and listening for clues, imagining where I'll be when they say yes, while hoping I don't sound like a complete idiot when I approach them. Admittedly, there's some fear because I respect these people and what they've built, but it's kind of fun watching their content for opportunity rather than just to pass the time. So here's what I wanted to comment on this, and I'm actually working on the second book right now about this, but there is no shortage of fucking opportunity online. And I think one of the biggest reasons is that people struggle with opportunities because they don't see where it is. This is really, really obvious. I'll tell you, because we have a real estate business, and in real estate, it's like super obvious where if there's an apartment building and it's only half rented and the owner sort of neglected it and it's starting to cash flow negative for the owner and it's become this big old maintenance headache, that's very obvious that is an opportunity in the real estate world to buy. When that happens digitally, it's not so obvious. And so part of what I want to show you guys in this book is like there's literally so much opportunity, it's hard to even wrap your head around it. But there's a mountain of people out there that have built audiences and built followings, and anybody can do this in the creator economy and have no idea how to sell and have no idea how to like monetize what they've built, and they have eyeballs and they have attention, and it's literally everywhere. Like you go on YouTube, it's everywhere. You go on Instagram, it's everywhere. You go on TikTok, it's everywhere. You go on Pinterest, it's everywhere. And so the real magic skill is like understanding how to monetize audiences and communities and things like that. Like you can almost walk in any social platform and start cash flowing it immediately and do it for a percentage of the sales, and almost anybody will go for that. Once you realize that, like, the opportunities are literally endless and everywhere. I've been recruiting actually a little bit in the recurring income on that, just because like I don't even have time to go after all this, but I think, you know, with partnerships and stuff, we can do more and more of these deals and make it win-win for everybody. So that's all I wanted to rant on that. I don't know what's going on, but sometimes Facebook doesn't show me anybody's online or anybody's commenting, and then I go back later and it's like, 20 comments. So if you guys are leaving shit and nothing's happening, it's Facebook's fault. I'm just letting you guys know that. Damn you, Facebook. So let's talk here. We got Kate says, agencies who don't have a VSL for their landing page, just curious, why don't you have one yet? Is it because you lack time to create it, don't know how to do it, other reasons? Not sure. Hold on, my there we go. I'm back. Sorry, I clicked on another tab just to see if Facebook was working. I see there are some comments coming in, but it's not shown on my end. Whatever. We'll just have to deal with it. I'll have to answer you guys after the live is over. So, listen, Kate, here's the deal with VSLs. I actually made my first lawyer sale with a VSL. I love VSLs. They're great. I learned a formula from a guy named John Benson, who actually was the original guy selling tons and tons of courses on ClickBank using VSL. But here's the downside of once you get good at a tool, is a tool to me is like a golf club. And what happens is almost always people, like, once they learn a tool, you like, you know, the whole saying, like, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When I first figured out SEO and I could rank websites, I just realized, like, I could solve almost any business problem by just getting more leads. Like, you got a hiring problem, let's get more leads to the hiring page. Let's rank the hiring page. If you have a sales issue, let's get more traffic to the sales page and we'll make more sales, right? Like, I could overcome most of those business problems with SEO, or so I thought. The thing about a VSL, it's a useful tool for taking cold traffic and generally speaking, selling lower ticket info products. Now, does it work for other things? Of course. But what happens is I think too many people like think it's like once they discover a tool, get obsessed about the tool, and then they use the wrong tool for the job. And I'll give you an example of this, okay? Like if you think about golf, the driver will get you 300 yards up the course, unless you're like me. I don't golf much, but when I do, it goes like 200 yards forwards and 100 yards to the right, not where I was aiming for. But if you, let's say you're on the golf course, well, a driver is a really valuable tool. But if you're standing on the green and you pull out the driver, for lack of a better term, like you're gonna fuck shit up, like royally, right? Like because a driver does not work on the green, and so I see this a lot of times where people will come to me, for example, and they'll be super warm and super hot. And so I just ask them, like, do you just want to buy it? I'll just send you the link, right? And that to me is like using a putter because they're really close to kind of to buying it. And the worst thing I could do is say, well, go watch my 45-minute VSL, and then when you're done, schedule a time, and then we'll talk some point into the future, which only allows them to cool off. And so that's my way of saying, like, I'm tool agnostic, meaning like whatever tool is the right tool for the job and works. And so if you understand that, you understand your place in the journey. And what happens is a lot of times people think of VSL as a catch-all thing because it's automated and it works. But like the point of a VSL is like use it in the right place. It's a tool. Like don't get caught up in thinking it's the right answer for everybody, which your question kind of implied, by the way. Having said that, VSLs work, and we laid out our Loom training, which is basically it's a kind of VSL. It's not the standard one that's taught by everybody, but it's really just a sales call and fast forward without a long story and a long build up. Especially useful if you sell to clients who have money and are busy and are successful, and you want to get those type of clients because they don't want to spend 60 minutes on a call with you. They just want get the info in 5 minutes. And for those of you guys who are interested, we have a course for that on beyondagencyprofits.com that you can check out. But hope that's helpful because I don't want all of you guys thinking the answer to every sales problem is a VSL. It's not. As I mentioned, I don't know what's up, but like Facebook shows me there's no comments and none of you guys are live, and then I go over and I see that you guys are here, so I don't know. Weird. Okay. So Jesse says, how does this pricing sound? I have a client that pays for social media management and creation, 24 posts a month, filming photography up to 5 hours monthly, times 5 Instagram Reels monthly for $3,000 a month. Thoughts, insights, greatly appreciated. I'm going to jam a lot on pricing and going after bigger stuff the next little while because I think it's one of the secrets to you guys getting paid a lot of cash. But here's the deal with that. Like, people generally don't actually want deliverables unless they've already got a machine that's working and you're just amplifying it. But even still, they're after the result of the deliverables, not the deliverables itself. It's kind of like when you go to a restaurant. Like we had a dinner at a fancy Italian. It's called Seaside. It's like literally on the water. And this was just yesterday with my family that came to visit from out of town. And I had a fish thing with some, I don't know, like sweet potato puree and some vegetables. It was really delicious. But having said that, like I'm buying the finished plate in the ambiance, right? Like if they said, well, we'll bring in a fish for you and we'll fillet it. And we'll take some sweet potatoes and we'll peel them and we'll boil them. Like, I don't give a shit about any of those details, right? Like, I just bring me the plate of the finished food. And so anytime you make your pricing dependent on deliverables, you're essentially doing like middle class values in disguise. And what that means is you're going to have to trade effort for money in ongoing. And you may run into trouble trying to find help to fulfill on that effort for money as you try and scale that machine. As where if you focus on the result of the content, like if we make 24 posts a month, you as a dentist will get X number of, veneer inquiries or whatever. What will happen is then you can focus on just like getting the result, and they're not really so caught up in those details. And what you'll find is it scales better because like they don't care whether you make 12 posts or 24 posts. They just want it to work, right? Like they just want it to work. They believe volume in those things will help. But having said that, your pricing sounds in line. Like it sounds like a lot of value, and you probably will help them create those outcomes. So maybe what you may want to do is for the first 2-3 people, see what it does for them and ask them in their own words to tell you what happened after you started running these campaigns for them. And then make your offer about that, not about all the work along the way. It's not about boiling potatoes and peeling them. It's that, like, you're going to sit on the water and we're going to bring you a nice plate of food, right? Like, it's the end result they're after. So you don't want to sell the journey. The journey is the least desirable thing to people in general. You want to sell the outcome of the journey, which is a totally different scenario. Charles says, any recommendations for B2B lead list providers? Quality lists, solid filters, vetted, low bounce rates, appreciate help and feedback. There are only two that, or I should say 3 ways that we personally use lists. I'm not saying there aren't other tools, but these are the ones that I've found to be the best. Number 1, build it yourself. This is from this fancy new tool they came out with called Google, and we sometimes use VAs and do manual processes and have them figure that shit out themselves. So that's way number 1, is the old Google machine. Way number 2 is probably my favorite way, which is Coldlytics, which is why we've had Matt McQuinn on a few times. And I'll tell you why I like Coldlytics. The biggest reason is they get better data. And what I mean by that is they will often, say you're trying to reach dentists, they will get the dentist email. So dentist name at abcdentalpractice.com versus what most people get is the catch-all email, which is like info at abcdentalpractice.com. And what happens is when you get the catch-all email, it goes to the gatekeeper and the gatekeeper deletes it. And so most of the time, the person you're trying to reach like never even fucking saw the thing that you were trying to pitch. As where with Coldlytics, you can bypass gatekeepers and get real like owner information. That I don't know how what sort of wizardry Matt McQuinn and his team have put, but they're continually improving that. I believe if you guys get it through my link, which I think is Frankie50 or Frankie25, I don't know, one of those codes, you get 25 or 50 bonus credits or something like that. So that's super helpful and super useful for you guys who are interested in that, because you'll get the best quality information. Then the third place, and this is especially for those of you guys who are using direct mail, is another resource that's been really valuable, is called Data Axle. I've used them for a lot of years before they recently rebranded to Data Axle. They were called Info USA for a long time, and they're the biggest list provider like in the world. You know, anything you want to find out who's buying, especially again if you're doing direct mail, which we do some direct mail. But those are the 3: build it yourself, Coldlytics, Data Axle. That's it. And if you're going to use Coldlytics, like I said, Frankie50. Try Frankie50 or Frankie25. One of those works. This is the last one, and I told you we probably have a shorter one today because I didn't have a ton of questions. It's probably good. I'm a little tired today, more so than normal, just from all the adventures we've had over the weekend. But I'm interested in